This is Chip Templeton from the Mississippi State University Mitchell Memorial Library. We're here this weekend to celebrate and perform our Charles H. Templeton Senior Ragtime and Jazz Festival. So we have 6 performers coming this weekend. We're having the Charles Templeton Music Museum is located within the library here on the 4th floor. And we would invite you at any time during the year to come visit the museum. It's open to the public during the weekdays and a little bit on Saturdays. And one of the outreach opportunities that we have for the museum is this festival each year. So we have world-class performers from all around to come with us. And so one of our 6 performers is my friend here, Josh Duffee from Davenport, Iowa.
That's right.
And this is his 2nd time to be with our festival.
Yes.
And we are so happy to have you here, and thank you for coming back.
Oh, thank you for having me back. Loved it the first time, excited for this time.
Well, we've been calling this our river tour
yes.
Deal, because we have our 6 performers. We have one from New Orleans, 2 from St. Louis,
yep.
And then we've got you from Davenport, and we're cheating a little bit on the Mississippi River because Jeff and Ann Barnhart live by the Mystic River.
That's right. That's right.
So we have everybody from river towns.
That's
and
right.
So Starkville doesn't have a river, so we'll just have to borrow yours for the weekend.
There's plenty to go around.
Yeah. So tell our audience a little bit about you and kind of how you got involved in music.
Yeah, it goes back about 20 years when I started playing professionally. But before that, growing up, I came from the hometown of Bix Beiderbecke, as well as I grew up in Moline, Illinois, which is right across the Mississippi. And that was the hometown for Louie Bellson, who was married to Pearl Bailey and was one of the world's greatest drummers. And that's what really got me started at a young age, was the drumming when I was in elementary school and then middle school. And then I learned about Louie when I was a sophomore in high school. And I went to a drum clinic and my jaw about hit the ground at what he could do behind the drums. And then senior year, I got to meet him and talk to him personally, and one of the kindest gentlemen out there. And asked me if I had questions, let me sit behind his drums and play around a little bit. And then from there, I realized I wanted to do the music of the 20s, because he said, find a drummer you really like and study them. Well, of course, I studied Louie Bellson, but I really got into Gene Krupa as well. And of course, he was drumming with Benny Goodman and had the hair going, the gum chewing, and all that.
Very memorable.
Yeah, and that's the thing. As a young teenager, that was impactful because he was a great technician, but it was very showy what he was playing. And so my first big band was when I was 21 years old. I tried to go to a university up in that area. I won't mention them, but they were teaching more of the modern jazz, and I really wanted to learn more ragtime and early jazz. That's what I was into. And the professors didn't want to teach that to me. So I left and I said, well, I'm going to go to a school where I can learn how to do this. And so went back to a community college in the area where I was able to work on playing all the music of Bix and Louie Bellson early days. And then at the age of 21, I started my own big band. And I did the music of Gene Krupa and his orchestra. And I thought, oh, it's a smaller community. If I get 5 people, that'd be great. And there was over 500 people that showed up to our very first show. They were dancing all night. We broke fire code, so the fire marshal showed up. And even the fire marshal loved the music we were doing. And then from there, I'm like, okay, there's bands in the area doing this music, but no one's playing the Bix era music from the 20s. So I decided it's time to start doing that. So I fell in love with the music of the Gene Goldkette Orchestra based out of Detroit, Michigan. And Bix was a part of that group. So this was a chance for me to bring Bix's music back to his hometown area. And we already had the Bix Jazz Festival going and bringing in great bands from all over the country and all over the world. And some of them were doing the transcriptions, but I never really got a chance to see a full big band like the Paul Whiteman Orchestra or the Goldkette Band of modern groups playing that. And so this was my chance to do that. So in 2002, that was our first year playing. And we received the Gene Goldkette Award of Excellence from Gene Goldkette's grandnephew, because he said, you sound just like the Goldkette Band.
Well, it sounds like you've preserved history, but you've done it in your own way, in your own style, and you've done it right to make sure it held the quality that was originally out there.
Yes, and I did that for Bix, yeah.
Just to make sure our audience kind of knows a little bit about kind of what we're talking about, what we're doing here this weekend. We're playing music generally it could be from 1900, maybe up to 1930. So there's a lot of music, and when we say ragtime, early jazz or blues or whatever. There's a lot of kind of forgiveness of what that could be, just like rock and roll sounds different in the 50s than it does the 80s and today.
Exactly, yes. Yeah.
But tell our audience in a nutshell about Bix, because we want to make sure they know about that person, because he's really was a cornerstone.
Yes. Yeah.
So just, if you don't mind, give us like a real brief about the life of Bix, so that someone might want to study that a little bit.
Bix Beiderbecke was born March 10th, 1903, and he only lived to the age of 28 years old, and he died of pneumonia. But at a young age, he was influenced by the music of the original Dixieland Jazz Band, who made the first records in 1917 for the Victor label. So he was inspired by Nick LaRocca, and so he picked up the cornet and learned it on his own by ear. And his mother was a trained organist and a piano player, but even when she sent him off to do lessons, the teacher sent him back because he was playing it exactly the way the teacher played it, mistakes and all. So he had a God-given talent of being able to listen to music and just put it in the ear and play it. So he sat next to his gramophone with the cornet and was just playing along with the ODJB records. And then he actually made his first recordings with the Wolverine Orchestra for the Jeanette label in Richmond, Indiana, celebrating 100 years this year. And that was the cornerstone for his improvisation that he was doing, was completely different from everybody else. And so all the other musicians around the country were like, who's this Bix Beiderbecke? Where is he from? Because Davenport was a small river town.
Right.
Not compared to like Detroit, New York, or Chicago. So here goes Bix just bursting onto the scene. And he's responsible for a lot of the improvisation that was happening in the 20s, and for dance bands adding in that extra musician. And his partnership with Frank Trumbauer from Carbondale, Illinois, was huge, because they, of course, recorded Singin' the Blues with Frankie Trumbauer and his orchestra with Bix Beiderbecke. And that's in the Smithsonian for, I think, one of the greatest recorded songs in history. But just a little musician from a small river town had a huge impact on all the world. In a short period of time. Short period of time, yes.
Well, he's certainly someone that the music world owes a lot to, for how he
exactly.
set us on a different course at a different height of ability.
And when I travel around the world and I say I'm from Davenport, Iowa, people say, oh, that's Bix Beiderbecke's hometown, which is great to hear that.
Right. All right, speaking of that, I'm going to change complete subject.
Okay.
Here at the Templeton Music Museum, we have, thousands of pieces of sheet music that are very collectible. A great number of those are online for people to pull up anytime they want to and print off, however they like to use it. One of my passions is that I'm still a collector of sheet music. And I don't know if you knew David Jason or not, or Dave Jason, but what he brought to the table in the world of collecting and understanding what was out there. He was a great friend of mine as well, and he died last year, almost a year ago. And a few months ago, I was able to begin purchasing some from his personal collection.
Wonderful.
And the great thing is that I had the knowledge of knowing what we have here and what the Janice Cleary collection, which is now here, and I know what I want that's not here. And taking that, I was able to obtain about 90 sheets from Jason's collection.
Oh, wonderful. That's great.
And every year in the museum on the back wall, we have 48 pieces that we select to go up there. And I have put up 48 of those pieces from that. So they're very unique, because if it wasn't in our collection and it wasn't in Janice's Cleary collection, let me tell you, it's hard to find.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So we have one up there. And so I'm mentioning something here. I know just enough to ask a question.
Okay.
But one is called Velma's Chocolates.
Okay.
And it's from Davenport, Iowa, publisher.
Okay.
And I think the artist is, and I may be pronouncing it wrong, but it's E-R-N-S-T Otto.
Ernest Otto, yes.
Ernest Otto.
Yes.
And you probably haven't had a chance yet to see that, but I love later in the day if you saw that, if you had any comments on it. But I didn't know if you were familiar with that person at all, or Velma's Chocolates. Is that a local something or another? Do you know anything at all about that?
It may have been back in the day. I am familiar with Ernest Otto. I believe he did a piece called Our Davenport, and I have 2 copies of that at home. So if that's one that you don't have here, I'd be more than welcome to send one down to you so you have it for your archive here.
Thank you, thank you. I don't know if we do or not, but that's something to know about. Anyway, it was just curious, because to me, it's all about the small town where American music came from. It just happened to go to the New Yorks and Chicagos and rain back down on all of the people in the rural area. But I think the rural people are the who provided it. And so that's what I mainly like to collect, is seeing around the country where it's just that printer, they're printing 50 copies of something, and what could still be findable. And I think that one would be one of those representatives of that. So.
And I know there was one, Carlisle Evans was another musician from Davenport, great piano player who Bix did work with. And I actually own Evans's original rag, and it's a piece of sheet music published in Davenport, Iowa.
That's interesting. Well, I'll have to get more information with you about that.
Oh, that'd be great, yeah.
All right, one thing that I really learned from you, and I say one thing, it's a big thing, is percussion is way more than just a guy with a trap set.
Yes.
And so I know you're going to be playing the xylophone in a way that no one probably is familiar with. And you have a whole sea of information on other types of percussion.
Yes.
So could you expand a little bit about that, on whatever items you want to talk about, that give our audience why you use those or when you might use those within a performance that they might see tonight?
Oh yeah, and it's really exciting this year because I get to partner with Jeff Barnhart, and we get to do a silent film together. And it'll be from the Buster Keaton legacy, and I love Buster Keaton. And so I get to provide the sound effects for that film. And so I have brought a lot of my percussion from home, and when people say, or I tell them, hey, I'm a percussionist, and they said, is that the only instrument you play? I said, well, that's the title, then let's go down and let's break down how many instruments are in that family.
That's like a buffet table.
Exactly, and that's what my parents said, are you sure you want to play this? Because I knew it'd be trip after trip of setting up. And so for the concert, I will get to be playing an array of different percussion instruments that will support what the musicians are doing. And I'm back in the rhythm section, and my job is just to keep the feel going, keep that time moving with press rolls and choke cymbal hits that complement what the soloists are doing, but stay out of their way because it's about them playing. Drummers in the 1920s and percussionists weren't solo artists. They would just provide the effects to accompany the music. But I do get a chance to play xylophone. And I play in a style that's very similar to Teddy Brown, who is the 400-pound xylophonist from England. He was originally born in the States, but then went to England about 1925. And he was there until he passed away in 1946. I'm nowhere near 400 pounds, and my wife's very happy about that I didn't want to take on that much of it. But he has a very fast style of playing, very unique because no one else is playing that. And I'm very excited to do a presentation called Mallet Men, some of the forgotten xylophone players like George Hamilton Green and George Stone and Sammy Herman, some great xylophonists of the day that were on record. And that's what makes this event so special and unique, is that students can come and learn, or anybody can come and learn about these great musicians, learn about the sheet music, and there's not a lot of events like this in the country. And so it's a specialized event that you can learn so much and learn about America's pastime. But it's just as fresh and exciting as it was the day they wrote it down. And so when I listen to Teddy Brown play, I try to play as fresh and exciting as he does, and then I go listen to recordings, and I still just get chills when I listen to it. And that's what I hear from audience members when after the show, they're like, wow, that was absolutely amazing seeing everybody on stage performing together. And I'm in awe at what Jeff can do on piano, what TJ can do with all the instruments. I mean, he's kind of like the Spike Jones of instruments, picking them all up and just playing them all. It's like, is he going to be on cornet? Is he going to be on trombone? What's he going to be on? But he's fantastic on every single one of them. And then Lewis Ford on clarinet, and Dave on piano, and then Ann on flute. She does some interesting technical skills with the flute that you don't hear from like a classical flautist. So to actually have all of us together, we're smiling and it's genuine. We love getting to do what we do. And that's, again, the beauty of this event here, is that there's everything from seminars to silent films to concerts. So all wrapped into just a couple days.
Well, thank you for your explanation of that and your kind comments about what we're setting out to do here. And encourage people to come out this evening or tomorrow evening at McComas Hall, and the concerts start at 7 o'clock, and you'll have a few hours of wonderful entertainment by Josh and all the other folks that he's mentioned, and you will be entertained and you will learn all about what a gentleman like Josh does with percussion. It is amazing, and we appreciate having you.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Okay. Thank you again. We're coming to you from the MSU Mitchell Memorial Library for our 18th annual Charles Templeton Ragtime and Jazz Festival, and we hope you'll come by and see us soon. Thank you.